Are you taking this?
Yeah.
Okay. That says Mountain Springs Schoolhouse and School. This is where I saw Sam the first time. This was Samuel Mashburn. And where we started going together and where we were married. I marked a cross on Sam and Shiv. This was made January 1888, and this is November the 8th, 1965, when she wrote it on the back. Okay, I was just, we were talking about tornadoes, and she was, it isn't easy for me to read this, her writing. I mean, she wrote good, but just hard to do. They were moving, and they moved, she says we were rambling again. So as a family, the Jim Franklins think he was distant cousin of Dad's. He, like in a covered wagon, they had a girl named Molly, and we stopped in Marlow, and Mert, Molly and me, bought us a China doll, about for 10 cents, each about 8 inches long. I would try to make clothes in the wagon. Never had much luck. We drank water out of creeks, and Charlie, my oldest brother, got sick, and we had to stop in Tecumseh, Oklahoma, and he almost died. We went to school there. I played with the little Negroes, saw my first mad dog there, got my first spring high shoes there, and Dad bought a farm about 10 miles from Tecumseh. Was prairie. I helped fix fence and plow. Dad broke up more land, and Charlie held the plow handles, and I drove, and when we fenced, they pulled the wire along with the horse. I had to go along and get it loose when it hung up something. As I got up to it, it came loose, and the horse drug it across my legs. And one of the neighbors had a great, I don't have to read all that. She always wrote about things that bothered her. This was about a goiter. I don't know that I need to read that. One time Mert and I went in the creek, and I got a leech on my foot. Don't know how long we lived there, but we kept the farm and bought another one at Mountain Springs, Texas, moved on it, and in May we had hard luck. Came a cyclone and blowed everything we had away. Was the Sherman cyclone. But our first, I think it was about 30 miles to Sherman, and saw all about the cyclone where we lived when we lived in Tempe 5 or 6 years ago. They had it on film, and she saw it on TV, the thing that she had gone through when she was about 13 years old. I even used to know the song, and I never thought I would see that on TV. It picked our chickens. That meant they didn't have any feathers left. Mother was cooking for a quarterly meeting for the next day, and we were sure busy. It rained all day until into the evening, and it stopped. My brother took the gun and went to kill a rabbit. When came back, he said afterwards, he knew it was going to do something. He heard it roaring, I guess. He sat down at the organ and played After the Ball Is Over. We never had curlers then to curl our hair, and this always bothered her. She had a straight place over here someplace. It's just straight as a string because it never got curled during this cyclone. We never had curlers then, and to curl our hair, and we cut strips out of tin cans and rolled them with newspaper, then rolled our hair on. Had long hair. I got Mert all done, and she liked a bunch of mine to do. Mother said for us to make the light bread in loaves, so that was what we were doing when the cyclone hit. I never will forget how it looked. Mother said if it was a hard wind, we go into the kitchen. So her, Mert, and me, and baby brother went in. Mother had my brother in her arms through it all, couldn't keep the doors and windows shut, and we rolled a barrel we had flour in to the kitchen door, but nothing done any good. The kitchen was logs. It was the first to go. It split in two. A log hit the cook stove and broke the firebox. But it rained so hard it never burned anything we had. It rained so hard it never burned anything we had. Had 9 little ducks in a box by the stove, and after it was all over, they weren't hurt a bit. After a rock fireplace fell all over them, something hit my ear and split a gash, and when the storm passed, wasn't a thing on the floor but Mother still holding Emmett, my brother, her long black hair hanging down, blood running out of her mouth, and Mert and me, and the head of the bedstead. Mother said, "Don't cry, children. We ought to be glad. We are all alive." So I got to looking and said, "Where's Novi?" After a while, he came crawling out from under lumber and trash in the yard. He had a chill that day and was in the front room in bed. He said he was okay a while until the fireplace blowed in and said the clock fell in the middle and scared the cat, and it ran under his bed, and then the bed fell down. Dad had been trying to hold the door shut in the room, but it all blowed away, broke one of Dad's ribs, and believed it or not, blowed his coat up and blowed some of the lining out, and don't think much happened to Charlie. And here is something you may not believe. The rocks from the chimney fell. They hit the organ stool and drove one leg through the floor. We had old lime oak floors, and the stool's leg never broke. Had a little calf tied with a rope in the yard. Never hurt it. There were scraps of our new dresses hanging in tree limbs. The first thing I asked Dad, "Have you got any money?" He had just gotten $75. The time had happened, and he said $20. It was wrinkled, so he put the rest in the Bible. He said we never did find it or the Bible, and Mert's first words were, "Stretch the tent." Of course, the tent was gone too. We went to the neighbors, and wet and dirty, but one fellow we met said I was the only one that smiled. We went back the next day, and there sat the pan of light bread, still rising, but was sure dirty. We had to laugh, and the wad of hair Mert hadn't got rolled up had a limb all tangled in it, and it stink around where the house used to be. Dead chickens and a cyclone stinks. That was the first cyclone that my grandparents, on my mother's side, had lived near Pilot Point, Texas. They were all carpenters, and they came and built us a 2-room house. They was a lot of help. They never liked the country much. I went and visited, and they'd taken 12 dozen eggs to town and got 3 to 5 cents a dozen. I think it was 3. They were from Missouri. So my Aunt Carrie Strohsnyder, that was their name, was a good seamstress, and she got material and made Mert and me dresses. Was striped. Mine was green and white, and Mert's was blue. I had that dress on the first time Sam Hodge went with me, and he was at practice meeting at Burns City, Texas. We went in wagons everywhere, and while Sam and I was walking to the wagon, well, she told me this story so many times. Mert was walking in front of us, and her petticoat fell off, and she just reached down and picked it up, and just like nothing happened. And Sam always had a big laugh. She did too. The first time I saw Sam was at school, and we went to the same school until it was out. Then the next winter, he went to medical school at Fort Worth, Texas. I went with a few boys, and Sam came home Christmas. Never got to stay long. We always had lots of pecans. They grew along all the streams, and hickory nuts, and we called them kitchen nuts. Well, anyway, she finally married Sam. She was 16, and he was 17.
Aww. Well, he was going off to medical school awful early.
You could go